Hey, what is up guys? It is Silverson here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my review on the last and final episode of Gravity Falls called Weirdmageddon Part 3, Take Back the Falls. Now, the main reason why this wasn't, put up yesterday or anything like that is just because I wanted to wait a little while and see the episode a couple more times before I actually did this review, because obviously this is the last episode, and I just wanted to make sure that this review is as good as it could be. So, yeah, let's just get into the story real quick. So, obviously, it starts off right where the last episode left off. They rush into the shack and pretty much everyone's just like screaming, about to attack each other, but then obviously they don't, and they reunite with Grunkle Stan, and pretty much they just get, they just fill them in on what's been going on, and pretty much everyone's just been held up in the shack because that's the only place where they're safe. Because remember in the last Mabel Corn, they put up that force field around the shack so that then nothing would, mess with it. Bill wouldn't come in or anything like that. But yeah, that's pretty much what they've been doing so far. And pretty much the reason why he's staying in the shack and not really doing anything about Bill or anything like that is just because Grunkle Stan doesn't really like, Ford, obviously, right now. He thinks that he takes, all the spotlight and all the glory and all that stuff. And pretty much Dipper and Mabel don't believe that. They think that, they can't just be staying in the shack the whole time. They need to go and fight back and just take back Gravity Falls from, Bill and his evil minions and stuff like that. But, so, in order for them to do that, pretty much they get McGucket. He pretty much builds, like, this big, cool, like, I think it's called Shacktron, something like that. Basically, it's like the Mystery Shack, but it's like this big, cool robot thing. And one thing I thought that was kind of cool was that they didn't bring, well, yeah, they did. They brought back the dinosaurs from from inside the mines and stuff like that. I actually thought that they forgot about that for a minute. I almost forgot about it too, but I've been wanting them to, bring them back and stuff like that because it just felt kind of like lost and stuff like that. Also, another funny thing that I thought was kind of cool was Zeus's like little reference to anime and stuff like that. Pretty much, he was just talking about like, oh, for this robot it has to have like gun swords and stuff like that. I've watched a lot of anime, and that's what it has to have. And then McGuck is just like, what's that? And then Zeus is just like, we have a lot to discuss and stuff like that. I thought it was pretty funny. So yeah, basically when the robots finish, obviously they go in and they charge Bill's fortress, his empire, his pyramid. But before that actually happens, basically well, first off he sings, and this was something I thought was kind of surprising because from what I saw in like an interview that Alex Hirsch did, he said something like they were going to do a song for like Bill, but they decided not to put it in, but I guess they put it in anyway. It wasn't like a long song or anything like that. It was just like a small like 5 like 10-second like little song that he sung real quick, and he was just playing on the piano. I thought it was pretty funny, but basically the gist of it was he freed Stanford from his golden frozen prison basically, and pretty much he's telling him like, hey, I have everything, almost everything I want. I can control like time and space and all this other great stuff, but he still can't somehow get out of Gravity Falls. And basically, he tells Stanford this, and he's just like, "Well, I know how to get out, but obviously, I'll never tell you," and stuff like that. And pretty much, he's just like, "All right, then I guess we'll just have to wait because it'll take time, but eventually he'll make him talk." But pretty much after he's done with that little conversation with them, everyone else like everyone else that survived the Weirdmageddon, like Pacifica, McGucket, and a couple of the monsters too, like Rumble McSkirmish and the I forgot what the unicorn's name was. It was like Salute the Bell, Bit the Bell, something like that, something like that. The unicorn was there and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much they got like all the people together in the Shackletron. They pretty much just start fighting, Bill's minions and stuff like that, and obviously they win. But I like the animation in this part, like it has like CGI in it and stuff like that, and it looks really good with that. Like sometimes stuff like that doesn't really look good, at least in anime and whatnot, but here I think it really fit, and it just made it like much more fluider and stuff like that, and it was just really epic and cool. But pretty much they're just battling their minions at this point, Bill's minions, and obviously they win, and then Bill just gets mad and he's just like, come on guys, you had one job to do, and stuff like that. And then pretty much Stanford's like cheering, like, yes, you guys got it and all that stuff. And then pretty much Bill's just like, oh, well, if you care about them so much and they care about you, then I guess I'll just have to torture them to see if that'll make you talk. And pretty much he goes out and then he just tries to start destroying the Shackletron, but obviously it doesn't work because, it has the shield around it and whatnot. And so pretty much he's just battling that. And while he's doing that, everyone else escapes in like this escape pod thingy, pretty much, and they go into Bill's pyramid place, you know, castle tower thing, and pretty much they rescue Ford, and along the way they meet Gideon and everyone else, in that big chair of frozen human agony, basically, and they free them and whatnot, and pretty much he just goes in and they free everyone else like Robbie and obviously Stanford and stuff like that. And here's where like some interesting stuff happens when Stanford and McGucket meet up. They pretty much like reunite, and it was kind of short. Like I wasn't expecting it to be like a big like like tear-felt like moment or anything like that, but it just felt kind of, I don't know. I was just kind of wish there could have been a bit more, like a bit more communication between them, because all they really said was just like, oh, like when Stanford saw him, he was just like, oh, I haven't seen you, since that event, since that day, you quit with me building the portal and whatnot, and then pretty much McGucker's just like, I've been trying to forget, but maybe I should forgive you and stuff like that, and pretty much they just hug it out, but I mean, like, it was good, but it's just, I don't know, I kind of wish there could have been a little bit more, but basically everyone reunites, even the police officers and stuff like that. And there's a little something I want to say near the end, but I'm not gonna say anything right now. And I'm pretty sure it's been obvious throughout most of the series. But either way, skipping that, pretty much they talk. They start talking and they're just like, how can we defeat Bill? I mean, they have him distracted with the robot for now, but pretty much they need a way to defeat him, permanently and stuff like that. And pretty much Stanford tells them like, back a long time ago when I was in the cave that he was in. I think from I think it might have been the same cave from the last Mabelcorn. It might have been, but pretty much he was just saying like, there was this circle, like I forgot what it was called, but like we see it in every intro, like in the intro at the end and stuff like that, the little circle thing with all the symbols. Pretty much he was just saying that and saying like, all the elements obviously mean something and stuff like that. We already know this. There's lots of theories about it obviously and all that stuff, but pretty much he was just explaining this to them and he was saying like everyone needs to join together and so that then we could defeat Bill and stuff like that. And pretty much Robbie was the little heart symbol on there. And McGucket was actually the glasses. Some people were saying like it might have been Stanford or something like that, or Stanley, but no, it wasn't. I forgot which one. Oh yeah, Yeah, Stanley was the Fez and all that stuff. But pretty much everyone got together and they started holding hands and whatnot. Some parts of that were kind of funny, like with Pacifica trying to hold McGucket's hand, and Robbie's little comments about his hair and whatnot. But pretty much they're all just like getting together except for Stanley, and pretty much he's just mad because um Stanford still didn't thank him for what he did. He pretty much spent 30 years of his life trying to get him back, and then he doesn't even thank him yet. And pretty much he's just like, okay, thank you, and stuff like that. And then pretty much he just says something like Stanley says something like between him and me. No, he said me and him. I'm not the bad twin and stuff like that. And then pretty much Stanford corrects him with his grammar and says like him and me, and pretty much, and then they get into a little fight again, stuff like that. They start bickering, but then right as they do that, pretty much Bill comes back after he destroyed the Shackatron, and pretty much how he destroyed it was like he just like broke the heel, kind of like Achilles' heel. He kind of made that comment in the episode, but anyways, that was like the only part that wasn't like with the force field and stuff like that. So he just destroyed it like that, and it was kind of funny because like he came back and he was just like, "Oh no, it's Bill," and then he's like, "Isn't that what we were all thinking?" and stuff like that. And then he just made a little comment about Gideon, about him dancing because that's what he made him do because he locked him up and pretty much he just made him like dance for all eternity and stuff like that. But it was still pretty funny. But basically, when Bill's there, pretty much he just gets all the all their friends, not like the family or anything like that, not the twins, but pretty much he gets everyone else and just turns them into like these little like decorations, these little flag things basically, and pretty much he just ties them all up like that, and then pretty much he goes after um Dipper and Mabel, and then he makes Stanford and Stanley stay, but pretty much he tries to offer him a deal saying like, hey, I have to like, if you don't tell me how to get out of Gravity Falls, I'll probably kill them and stuff like that. And then pretty much he's just like, no, and stuff like that. And then pretty much he goes chasing after Dipper and Mabel because they believe they could handle him, especially after, all the other times they defeated him and whatnot. But pretty much they're like chasing after each other and stuff like that. And I thought it was kind of funny the little quote Bill said. He said like I gotta change some kids into corpses and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of funny and just like dark and stuff like that. I don't know, like it just like kind of makes me laugh because like obviously it's supposed to be a kids show, but then they say stuff like that and it just I don't know. I just like it. It's really funny to me. And basically they're just chasing after each other until they find a dead end. And pretty much Mabel she uses like the I forgot what episode it was, but it was like I think a season 1 episode, but pretty much she like uses it to like make her hand bigger so that then she could punch a hole into the dead end that they fell into, and pretty much when they do that they see everyone else like got, you know, surrounded by the minions and stuff like that. They're still alive and still around and whatnot, and pretty much they're all getting, taken away and stuff like that, and so do Dipper and Mabel. Bill pretty much just comes up behind them and basically he comes in and he's just like, I got the kids and stuff like that, so what is it gonna be? And he was just like, I think I'll just kill one of them, and then he's about to kill them, but then Stanford's just like, no, wait, I surrender, and then he's just like, okay, and then pretty much he lets him into his mind, essentially, like, but it's pretty much like this plan that they came up with, him and Stanley, pretty much, they came up with this little plan, basically on how to trick him and stuff like that. So pretty much they just like cross-dressed, so to say, and basically it's really Stanley's mind that he's in, and pretty much he goes in and Stanley's there, and he's like in like his little room in like the mystery shack, but like everything else is just white. But pretty much he traps Bill in there, and pretty much he's just like, no, I can't die like this, I have to get out and stuff like that, and pretty much he just like starts freaking out, like everything else is on fire, and basically and stuff like that, and pretty much he's just like saying like let me out and stuff like that, but obviously he won't. He starts like morphing into these different kinds of forms and stuff like that, and starts like breaking down and like dying essentially. And then pretty much Stanley's just like, you made one fatal mistake, and that was messing with my family. And then pretty much he punches Bill, and then he like just disintegrates completely and stuff like that. But they actually used a memory gun in order to erase Bill from existence, and, along with Stanley's mind as well, which kind of sucks because obviously, I mean, I didn't want him to die. I mean, that's what we were all speculating. Everyone was speculating it. I was thinking it, and he theoretically did die, like how we thought he was going to. From my understanding, I feel like most of us thought he was going to die by fire and stuff like that. And he kind of did, at least in his mind, and it was kind of sad too, to see like he was just like, I think he said something like, I guess I really am, meant for something, or like, I guess I really am important and stuff like that. And pretty much he just like dies with a smile, but he doesn't really die, like basically his mind's erased and stuff like that. But pretty much when that happens, Bill's defeated, and mostly everything just goes back to normal and stuff like that, and everyone's just like all happy and cheerful. There's like news reports saying, like, oh, Gravity Falls is back to normal and stuff like that for the most part. And if they ever mention it again, they'll just say like, forget all of that and stuff like that. They're not gonna remember what happened, kind of like the Blind Eye Society and whatnot, technically, but pretty much Stanley sacrificed himself for everyone and stuff like that. I mean, he didn't really know because, his mind got erased by the memory eraser, so yeah. But before all that happens, I think it's probably safe to say that at least I feel like the police officers are pretty much like gay now. I mean, like, I'm not saying that like as a bad thing or anything like that. You know, it is what it is. It doesn't really affect any of us. At least it shouldn't. Like, I don't have a problem with that or anything. I'm just saying, like, it's just kind of, you know, strange, to have that in the kids show. Obviously, I mean, the only time I could really think about anything like that, similar to that, is probably on Legend of Korra when, like, the ending where pretty much like her and forgot what the other girl's name was, but pretty much they were just looking at each other and whatnot, and everyone thought that that they were together like that and whatnot because they were gonna go on a vacation. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked here. But basically, yeah, I just wanted to point that out. But basically, going back to a little bit ahead, pretty much they go back to the shack with Stanford, Stanley, Seuss, and all of them. They pretty much just go back to the shack, and pretty much everyone's just sad except for Stanley because he doesn't really know, what's going on. So like that, he's just like, oh, like I didn't know that this was my house, but it looks pretty cool. This chair is pretty cool and all that stuff, and pretty much everyone's just like sad, thinking like, there's no way to get him back and stuff like that. And but pretty much Mabel didn't lose hope, and she was pretty much just saying like, there's got to be a way to bring him back and stuff like that. And so basically, she uses her scrapbook as a way to get his memory back and whatnot. They're just flipping through pages like the first day they came to Gravity Falls, like they have a picture of that and whatnot, and then they have like a whole bunch of other things like nostalgia kind of like talking about the episodes like the day they went fishing in Legend of the Wonker and all those other times and stuff like that. And pretty much eventually he actually does remember things like when Waddles came up to him and he was just like, get Waddles off of me and stuff like that. And then slowly but surely he kind of started remembering, what happened. And when I say slowly, I don't mean like gradually or anything like that. Like, I don't mean like it took a long time. Like, to be honest, this didn't really like affect too much. Like, it was literally just there for like 5 minutes or so. I mean, like, it was kind of sad, at least on my end. I was honestly like almost about to tear up here. Not because like Stanley lost his memory. It's just like, Mabel's reaction to it, like her crying and being sad and like, everyone else is just like sad about it and stuff like that. It makes me feel sad too and stuff like that. But pretty much they're just looking through the scrapbook and they're just like laughing it off and whatnot. And yeah, I mean like it didn't really affect too much, but it was just like I mean, like, it was pretty good for what it was, but basically that was like kind of like, I don't know if that was the first half. Yeah, that was like pretty much the first half, I believe. And then the second half is, it's not really much, it's really just them celebrating, you know, Dipper and Mabel's 13th birthday. Everyone's there, Pacifica, McGucket and all those other people and stuff like that. And speaking of McGucket, he actually kind of did become more sane and stuff like that. He's not really crazy anymore. Um, but pretty much he got a lot of money after selling his patents for his, machines and stuff like that. All the machines he's made to the U.S. government, and that's how he got like lots of money. And pretty much he used it to buy a house, and he pretty much bought the Northwest Mansions, Pacifica's mansion, because I think it was something like in weirdmageddon, pretty much he like her dad pretty much sold his money to like I think Bill or something like that, basically, and pretty much they sold their house so they don't really have a house right then, and then they made like this little joke where like she'll only have one pony this year, Pacifica and stuff like that. But something I never understood, or at least I don't think I understand right now, is why did they have Bill's like picture in their mansion and stuff like that? Like, what does that mean? Like, I know that her dad wanted to like have like a little alliance with them and whatnot, but like still, like, did they know about him this whole time? Did they know about like Bill this whole time? Like, that was just a question that I was wondering and stuff like that. But pretty much they're just celebrating, their birthday, and while all that's going on, pretty much Stanford goes off to the side, with Stanley, and he's pretty much just saying like, hey, I've detected some paranormal stuff going on in like the Arctic region and stuff like that, and pretty much he's just saying like, I'm getting a bit too old for this, so maybe, you could tag along with me and stuff like that, and pretty much they get to live their dream, or at least Stanley gets to live his dream of, sailing around the world with his brother and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. And speaking of that, I think that my theory, the the other theory, the one that I said like how is it all gonna end and stuff like that, it was pretty much right. I believe what I said in there was, Dipper and Mabel are gonna go back home, and I actually like it's not exactly how I thought it was gonna be. I mean, I'm kind of glad it wasn't, but pretty much I said that like maybe Stanford, Stanley, and all of them would take a boat ride to Piedmont, California first. Make a pit stop there. Say their goodbyes, and then Stanford and Stanley would pretty much go off and on an adventure and stuff like that. But pretty much yeah, that was kind of right. I mean, they do sail the world together and stuff like that, and they do go home. So I guess that was kind of right. But my other theory, now this is kind of backtracking a bit, obviously, but basically my theory about Bill's weakness and how he was gonna be destroyed was obviously like way off and stuff like that. Um, Pretty much I said that they were gonna use the Infinity Side die, and to be honest, I'm kind of glad that they went this way because if they did the Infinity Side die, I think it wouldn't have been like as I don't know. Maybe they could have found a way to make it as crazy, but like I don't know. I like it this way. Like I don't mind it, ending this way, but pretty much going back to the present day, basically, he's telling them like on the side, they're gonna sail and have an adventure and stuff like that. And yeah, basically that happens, and then at the end, Dipper and Mabel have to go back to California and whatnot, and pretty much, they're just saying their goodbyes and stuff like that. And Wendy actually gives Dipper this little note and stuff like that, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But basically, she gives him this note, and pretty much she's just saying like, read it the next time feel like you feel, homesick. Well, not homesick, but you miss Gravity Falls and stuff like that. And pretty much they're about to board the bus, but pretty much they can't let Waddles on because there's no animals allowed on the bus or in their parents' house and stuff like that. But pretty much Grunkle Stan's just like, no, you know what? They're gonna keep this pig because I had to keep him, all summer. So if I have to do that, then they have to do it too. And pretty much, it was kind of funny because him and Stanford kind of like threatened the police, not the police. I'm messing up, but the bus driver basically. And it was just kind of funny how they were just like standing there and whatnot. But yeah, pretty much they just board the bus and they're just like running after the bus saying, like goodbye and stuff like that, saying bye and whatnot, and pretty much they're just like riding on the bus, and Dipper gives like this little epilogue, this little like narration, to end off the series, and pretty much he looks at the note while they're riding on the bus, and it says, "See you next summer." Now that's a little something I want to talk about a bit, but ending this episode, basically the end credits roll and whatnot, and the end credits to me, they look really good. Like, I kind of wish the intro could have gotten the same kind of treatment because I feel like the end credits in this feels like a movie, honestly. Like, the way it was, like, presented and animated and whatnot. It felt like something you would see in a movie. But yeah, it was a really good story, and I felt like they cleared up most of the stuff that I wanted to see in terms of the story, basically. Also, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, but Zeus actually wants the mystery shack with Melody. Pretty much Stanley says, like, him and his brother are going to go on an adventure, but before he does, he's going to give the mystery shack to Zeus and stuff like that. And it was really sweet of him to do that and whatnot. Obviously their relationship and whatnot, how that goes. But pretty much that's it, basically, in terms of the story. Like, not all too much happens other than a few codes and whatnot. And I have a feeling that the show isn't completely over yet, but I'll get to that when I do my little theory, a possible season 3 theory that I'm coming up with. But pretty much just tell me what do you guys think of this show as a whole, basically, or what do you think of this finale? I thought that was really good. I thought that they cleared up most of the stuff. The animation was solid. Everything was just it just came together in the end, and it just felt really good. You know, but I, before before I end this review, I just wanted to tell you guys real quickly about how I got into Gravity Falls first and foremost. Okay, so I didn't think too much of this show. I didn't think it was going to be as good and as great as I, think of it now, but pretty much I saw some of the commercials for it, like the starting commercials for it, like the little launch commercials and whatnot, and they were okay. I mean, like, they were kind of silly, obviously, starting off and whatnot, but I didn't think too much of it. I didn't think it was going to be terrible and whatnot, but it was okay. I didn't really see too much of it, but pretty much basically what happened was I was eating dinner and we turned on Disney Channel, and this was the night Dreamscapers premiered, or Dreamscapers premiered, however you pronounce it, but basically it was at the end of the episode, and it was pretty much that part where Bill was saying, like, when darkness approaches, a day will come in the future when everything you care about will change, and that he'll be watching them and whatnot. I was like so confused, and it's kind of funny because this show, it's not confusing, but it just leaves you asking lots of questions and whatnot. Obviously, a mystery show and whatnot, but pretty much I was just like, what, like, what's going on? Like, why is there like this big, Illuminati looking triangle on screen and stuff like that on a Disney Channel show, no less. And pretty much he was just saying, like, darkness approaches and all that stuff. I didn't know if he was talking about like the show or like in real life and whatnot, because all that other stuff. But basically I was just like, I had so many questions to ask and whatnot, but pretty much I saw the whole episode, the Dreamscapers episode, and then I finally understood, what all that was about, what he was talking about and how that went down. And I watched the rest of season one and whatnot, and then I saw the season one finale, and after that I was just hooked. Like, I really like this show, and it's really good in my opinion as a whole. I mean, like, the first part of it was pretty okay. Season one was okay, but obviously season two is where stuff really starts to kick off and whatnot. But yeah, pretty much it was. That's just how I got into it. It was really good, in my opinion. Everything about it was just pretty good. It left me asking questions and whatnot. But yeah, I'm not like, this was kind of our main thing, like this show. I would always review it like weekly and whatnot, or well, not weekly, but whenever a new episode would come out, I would review it and whatnot. And it was like one of the few TV show reviews I've actually done and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, like, it's over. All we have left is maybe a theory or two, and then the journals and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I'm I I'm pretty sure I have a good idea on what's next. Obviously the show is over, but I'm gonna be reviewing, like, obviously Dragon Ball Super every week and stuff like that when that comes out. And if you haven't seen my coming soon part in my about section on my YouTube page, you guys should check that out. But basically, I'm gonna try to review Samurai Jack whenever that comes out, the new thing. I have heard the new Powerpuff Girls show, but I'm not sure if I might watch it. I might do a review on the first episode or something like that, but as far as that goes, I'm not too sure about that right now. But yeah, this was just like really crazy. It's kind of sad that it's over. I mean, I'm sad, you're sad, hopefully, and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this review. If I left out anything, please tell me in the comments below. And just tell me what you guys thought of this. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it lived up to the hype? Because they really did hype this up like a lot. They had like this huge like marathon for it, showed every episode and whatnot. They had like all the trailers and commercials for it and everything. It was just like really crazy and just like, I don't know, like, it was crazy. But yeah, pretty much that's about it. I mean, am I forgetting anything? Let me think. Let me think over it real quick. Talked about the story. Talked about. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Season one. I haven't done any reviews on that and stuff like that. And as you guys haven't, if you guys haven't seen any of my other reviews, I have lately been doing reviews of first seasons of different shows like Steven Universe and like other things like that. Do you guys think I should do a season one review of Gravity Falls? Leave that down in the comment section below, and then I might do it. I might not. Depends on what you guys think. I'm not sure if I should, because like I said, season two in my opinion is definitely better than season season one and whatnot. But it's not really that long of a show, obviously, just like 40 episodes or so. But I think it did really well for what it was. I mean, sure, I wish there could have been a bit more things with it and whatnot, but it is what it is, and they did what it did really well. And yeah, I guess that's about it for me, guys. And until the next one, Silver Sun is out, along with Gravity Falls for the most part.